All right. Welcome everybody to MVP Office Hours on this Friday, August 17th. I'm Jared Kingston, one of the hosts. I have with me Jackie Travieso as well as Dale Ziegler. You guys want to say hi?
Hello everyone and happy Friday. Thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. All right. So the way we like to kick off each office hours is just a little overview of upcoming events that you should be aware of. If you haven't heard, Salesforce is holding this little get-together here in September called Dreamforce. I heard it is full now for a full conference. So there's expo only passes now. All joking aside, Dreamforce is very quickly approaching almost a month away. So looking forward to see everybody out there. And then there's a lot of Dreaming events that follow up Dreamforce in the following months out in Florida. I mean, who doesn't want to go to Orlando in November or Paris for that matter in November? So a lot of great ones coming up. Definitely check those out and submit talks to those if they're still open. All right, so a little bit about MVP Office Hours. Just a quick overview here. We hold this the first and third Friday of every month, so our next call will be the 7th of September. Registration link up there. Bookmark that sucker. It's not going to change. We'll just update that page for each new event. This is an open Q&A discussion, so it's kind of like Answers Live, and we'll try to give you approach, pointers, resources, you name it. And if there's anything we need to take offline, we'll take it there for sure. And we record this, so we'll post that recording out to our group on the community, as well as Twitter. That's just at MVP Office Hours. And because we have this is all open, we just ask you mute your lines in the meeting if you're not speaking, so we can easily hear things. Let's see. Oh yeah, ask questions. Just raise your hand, or if there's just a blank moment, we'll be asking for people to speak up. So a couple ways to do that. Even though we can certainly see your name in the meeting, it's always good to hear you say your name so we can recognize it. So just kind of announce yourself as you are speaking up. And everyone's welcome to share experiences. We've got MVPs on the call, but you don't have to be an MVP to give advice, right? So if you have advice that could help out with a question, please speak up. That's what this is for. And if you have any resources to post, use the chat. We will record those as we go. And, hey, if it gets down to it, we are not afraid to let you share your screen if we need to really take a look at what your issue is. We've done that several times. So, yeah, that is it with that. Go to the next slide here. And then lastly, right, MVP Office Hours is global. So we have a site there, mvpofficehours.info. This site has all the information you need about the different groups, such as this one. So we have one in EMEA that's going. We have a Portuguese one. We have, I believe APAC is up and going now. We have students version. So, excuse me, a lot of different versions out there. On that site, you can view the information of each one of those, as well as subscribe to our email list. So if you want to get an email for each new MVP Office Hours to register as a reminder, just go sign up there, and we'll send you out an email with that registration information. Oh, yes. Jackie, do you want to cover this one?
Absolutely. Thank you. So we have been selected for a campfire session at Dreamforce in what I believe will be the admin meadow again. It's going to be a 20-minute opportunity for us to do basically MVP Office Hours live. We're very excited about this. We had an opportunity to do it last year, and we had a nice crowd. I'm hoping that this year we have an even bigger crowd. And something that is not on the slide, I just got the date and time. So September 26th at 11:30. And we'll start tweeting this out so you guys have the location, the correct location and all of that. But we would love for you to come by, say hello so that we can meet you in person. The other groups will be there as well, so you can get some global FaceTime with the other groups as well. So come by and say hello. We'd love to meet you.
Awesome. Yes, definitely. And we'll have stickers, brand spanking new stickers to put in the middle of your laptops to display for all to see. So, or wherever else you want to put stickers for that matter. So, all right, let's go ahead and kick it off with questions. Who wants to be the...
Jared, we have our first question from Christy in the chat. It's kind of a long one.
Okay.
But she says here, and if you guys want to jump over to chat, you can kind of look at this because you might need to do a little illustrating on a piece of paper. She said, I'd like to automate updating member statuses from a parent campaign to a child campaign where both campaign members share the same contact ID. Basically, the parent account is what is being updated by Marketo. Is this possible in Process Builder? I tried this and it wasn't clear how to bridge from one campaign to another, or should I build a flow instead? If I do the flow route, do I have to ask the user for the child campaign ID, or is there a way that the parent campaigns and child campaigns connect to make it easy to bridge them? That is the question.
And I got a clarification question.
Go ahead.
So let me try that again. Is what you're asking is, can you update the campaign member status when a contact belongs to both the parent and to a child campaign?
And Christy, I'm going to unmute you on my side.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So the tricky thing with doing something like that is you're really going to have to go trolling across two sets of campaign members to try to find the same if there's any matching contacts. So it's not as if you're saying, let's go use contact Jackie Trevioso and see, does Jackie exist in both the parent and the child campaign? You basically have to go through all the campaign members from the parent campaign and see if they exist also in the child campaigns. And I'm imagining you have more than one child campaign tied to that parent.
Yeah, I will. So basically, the parent campaign is going to be populated by the child campaign. So ideally, it should be the same, but you're right. It doesn't always happen that way. There are some other members that will be in the parent campaign that will not be in the child campaign. They're all kind of segmented from different sources.
Okay. If I understand you correctly, you're saying that if I have a child campaign, all the campaign members from that child campaign are also on the parent?
Yes.
Do you have multiple child campaigns pointing to the same parent?
Yes.
And could your contacts exist in more than one child campaign?
Could the contacts exist in more than one child campaign? Yes, you're right. Yeah, that could happen.
So here's the challenge with doing something like this with Flow. You can't straight up and do it with Process Builder because you have to pull and loop through a lot of related records. And the only way to really do this with, like if something changes at the parent campaign, you could go through and say, I'm going to go update a value on all the child campaigns, or I'm going to update all the values of a campaign member tied to the parent campaign. But what you're really saying is, I want to update all the values of the campaign members under my parent campaign and all the campaign members from each child campaign underneath this parent, as long as the contact is also part of the campaign member of the parent.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? So you could do this with Flow, but it's going to be kind of on the clunky side of things, and it's not going to be really easy because one of the things that we can't do right now with Flow is to be able to say, I'm going to go out and query a set of records. Like I'm going to go find all the child campaigns, get their IDs, and then say, go return me all the campaign members that are in one of those IDs. Flow just doesn't do a good job of that. You might be able to get away with some of this information by doing something like putting the parent campaign onto the campaign member. Now that I believe we can add fields to campaign members.
Can I step in from a
please
business process question here? Like, why does every campaign member from every child campaign and every parent campaign need to be listed? Why is this not consolidated into a smaller
campaign?
Yeah.
Integration purposes. So those smaller child campaigns belong to 3 different orgs. So, and they're tied through integration together. So that's why it gets a little complex. Right now, it's like a manual update, and to minimize that would be like a dream.
Yeah, how are they integrated with each other? Through what mechanism?
We'll think of the parent campaign. Let me think this through. Okay, wait. They're not really related to each other, although they may be duplicates because different contacts live. Same person might be in 2 different orgs.
Mm-hmm. So I guess what I'm asking, though, is there an ETL, like a MuleSoft or an Informatica or some kind of middleware that's consuming this contacting? Okay. And is
right, in Informatica, yeah.
Is there any possibility to essentially reconcile the gaps in the contact to campaign relationships in the ETL before then sending back out to the Salesforce orgs? Is there any way to do that?
Well, that would not be in my pay grade, but I wouldn't be doing that part. But yeah, I'm just trying to see if there's something that I could do.
You know, Dale's right. I would go and see if that's something you can handle with the ETL first, because that's probably going to be the simplest solution. Because to try to do this declaratively without running an Apex code, you're talking about creating a bunch of fields and doing lots of loops within loops. And it
would get too unwieldy, right?
It'll get very unwieldy, especially because you're going to, depending on how many campaign members you have across all the parents and child campaigns, you could hit flow limits very, very quickly.
I was going to ask that earlier. And then also, depending on how many campaigns you have and how many campaign members you have, you're going to eat into your data storage super quick. And extra data is not cheap. So if there's a way to shift the balance of where those relationships are maintained, i.e. if the ETL can take on that burden, you're not going to hit that limit in addition to the flow limits at a tactical level, but at a strategic level, you wouldn't hit your data limits as quickly.
Okay. All right. That helps.
Great question. And good answers, you guys.
And if that's not possible, circle back. And I mean, Brian, as soon as I heard Brian start talking, I said, I'm going to tap out to Brian. If Brian can't figure this one out, it cannot be done in flow and declaratively.
Yeah. So. I mean, logically speaking, you could probably do it, but architecturally speaking, I would probably take one look at your campaigns and say, if you really, really have to do this, you're going to want to go to code just for the sheer data volume.
True. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for that question. Okay. Jen has her hand up. Jen, I'm going to unmute you. You've got the floor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, I wanted to say
Brian, that your videos were what got me started in Flow. So thank you.
Woohoo!
And my question was about a fast lookup in the Flow. Can I restrict the result set to a certain number, like a top 20? I haven't found a way to do it, but I was told that there was a way.
So, yeah, let's see here. That's a darn good question. Let me open up a Flow quick. I know how I would do it off the top of my head, because I don't think the fast lookup itself allows you to say only return 20 records.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But one of the ways you could do it is you do your fast lookup, and then you put that in a loop with a variable that all it's doing is, and when you get, and all the loop is doing is saying, if the variable is less than 20, put that S object into a new collection, and when you hit 20, you end the loop.
That's what I did, although I don't think you could end the loop when it hits 20. It'll go through that loop, I just won't save it in the collection. That's what I did. But if I return 100 and I go through that loop, but I'm only adding the first 20 to the collection that I will create, that will fast create after the end of the loop, but it goes through the 100, and I didn't think it was efficient. It works, but it's not really the most efficient way to do it.
No, it definitely is not the most efficient way to do it.
Unless you said that I could end the loop when it hits 20.
Yeah, I mean, let's see here.
So if you have 100,
Brian, do you want me to
because you're looping through.
Go ahead, Dale.
Brian, do you have something you want to show? Do you need to share your screen so I can stop?
I'm looking at the elements level, and just to see what I can actually do. And unfortunately, it's one of those things, I have nothing built for samples for this, so I'm having to quickly put together a bunch of fake stuff. But I've done similar things, and I'm trying to remember off the top of my head how I ended the loop.
Yeah, so I use a counter variable inside my loop.
Yeah. So
there's no way to exit out of a loop based on a decision within the loop. I'm going back to basic programming classes in high school here when I think of that.
One way to do it is when you hit your 20 in the loop, because you're going to have a decision element there.
Yeah.
You just never return back to the loop. See what I mean? So technically, you don't close the loop once you hit your 20.
But it doesn't perform the actions that fast create after the end of the loop, because you don't end the loop, you end the flow. If you don't keep on with the loop, it'll stop when it hits 20, but it never creates it because my fast create is outside of the loop.
Right. What I'm saying is, all right. Let's see if I can do this really, really quickly here to give you an example.
20. You want the screen, Brian?
Yeah, I'm gonna need the screen in just 1 second. But I gotta create a whole bunch of fake stuff. Okay. All right. We'll see if this is okay. I gotta go. I have to go hide all my client stuff. 1 second. Okay. Zoom and share the screen. Okay. So what I'm saying is, if we go through, and normally the way you have it is you are updating your collection once the loop is over, right? So here instead, No, I'm not doing. I grabbed the wrong one. I want to do a fast update. And instead, what I'm saying is, instead of going all the way to the loop, we're going to do something that looks like this, and this is really, really messy. So when you do our loop, we go through and do everything. We hit our decision, and we check to see whether or not this is 20. If it's less than 20, we go back to the loop, right? If it's 20, we leave the loop, and we're going to your fast update this way. So your fast update is not actually when the loop ends.
Outside of the loop. Yeah.
Yeah, but the key point is, if you're going to do something like this, it has to be basically the equivalent of loop. You never, ever, ever then go back to the loop, because then you're essentially putting the fast update within the loop.
Yeah.
But if you do this, that will essentially act as if the loop is ending, and then you should be able to get your action.
So I put my fast create or fast update inside the loop.
Yeah, it's technically inside the loop, but the key point here is this condition is this outcome is only ever valid once.
Right.
Make sense?
Correct. Yeah, yeah. I have exactly the same, except that my fast update is outside at the end of the loop.
Yeah, you got it connected this way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you effectively, you never have to end the loop. You could just do this, and it should work.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. That was a great question.
So glad that you were on today, Brian. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay.
Yeah, that was some serious help.
Looks like we've got a question from Aaron. I'm constantly asked to maximize the record's Lightning banner's capability, i.e. hover, bold, font, size, capacity, etc. Is there an app on the Exchange that replaces the existing Lightning record banner? Are we talking about the highlights panel? Aaron, I'm going to go see if I can unmute you, and maybe you can elaborate. Aaron, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, great. Thank you so much. Okay,
perfect.
Go ahead and expand on your question.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. The panel. We call it the banner, but it's a highlight panel. And I think it's 5 fields, and the first one is on top, and I'm always asking if I can put a hover in there or rich text, or I'm constantly getting requirements to enhance this banner. I mean, it has so much information in it, but I've looked on the App Exchange, and there's nothing there to replace it. You can add additional, smaller banners beneath it, but nothing that really replaces the highlight panel.
Yeah, I don't think I haven't seen a component out there that essentially replaces it. And the only way I can think of essentially doing what you're asking is creating your own custom component. And that's going to be tricky, because that's where not just the hover over fields are, but that's where all your buttons and actions show up. So
okay.
I guess, I would look at what's the real business need, what's the business ask for doing and adding stuff into that highlight panel, and see, can you provide alternatives that address it if they're high needs, because the cost to deliver the specific request is pretty high, especially if you don't have a dev on site.
Yeah. No, I built formula fields where I can pull the data from 4 fields and stack them. So I can really maximize the capability, but every day there's something else. It's okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else got an idea?
No, I was just doing a Google search to see if there's any new info on that.
I was gonna say, I don't know this. I don't know if this specifically helps. Yeah, because I don't know of anything either. I will say that I learned of something at the Des Moines user group this week, that was a cool feature I hadn't necessarily thought about before, but I don't know if this would specifically help, but basically you can take the related record component and highlight, certain fields from that record that you're on using a quick action. So you set up a quick action and you put on that quick action layout the fields that you want to highlight, and then you go drag that related record component on there, and it'll display just those fields in that component. So that, I don't know that necessarily helps because it's not in the header, right? Or in the highlights panel, but it's something to think about as you try to rethink through, like, what's the purpose behind these fields, and why they need to show in the header, right? Other options for you.
I agree. It is overly used, actually. So, but that's a good idea.
I just posted a link. I'm not sure if there's any tidbits in here that are helpful, but it's about specifically opportunity highlights panel in Lightning, and that it's driven by your compact layouts. So there might be some information in there as well. I just saw that it's dated January 2017, so this is probably already outdated.
Yeah, it just has limited capabilities. Like, you can't have rich text. There are certain fields you cannot have in the highlight panel.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a great opportunity to go post an idea and then everybody vote on it.
Thanks.
So if you post that out there, share it in community on the MVP Office Hours page, and we'll all go support you.
Okay, thank you.
Because if you're asking for it, other people are asking for it as well. So that's a good one. Okay, let's see here. What else do we have? Lizelle, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. My org is currently over our used data capacity, 188%, and I've been tasked with managing it. A bulk of the data usage is from campaign members. I'm exporting our campaign members through a report and then deleting the campaign/campaign members. Is there anything else I should be doing? That's a good question. I went through a project like this probably a year ago. And one of the things that I learned is, even though you go through and you're deleting records that you decide you no longer need for whatever reason, it takes Salesforce 3 to 4 weeks or longer for that data to actually reflect in your totals. So if you're not seeing those percentages or those numbers go down as you would expect them to, I would reach out to Salesforce Log a Case and just say, hey, I've done this and I want to make sure that this is happening. Can you give me an ETA of when I should expect to see these numbers lower? That was one thing that I learned. The other thing you might look at is maybe tasks. Anyone else have suggestions? I would look at what makes up that 188% and start tackling those first.
So I'm sorry. Admittedly, I was taking care of a potty training almost 3-year-old who should be sleeping. What was the front part of the question?
She's looking to solve? Yeah, they've reached their data usage. They're at 188%, and they are removing campaign members, and they're wondering if there's anything else that they should be doing.
Every detail record in Salesforce is 2 KB. Doesn't matter the object, doesn't matter the object's purpose, doesn't matter the number of fields. So tasks are always a good one, because it goes back to what are your company's data retention policies in terms of interactions with customers. There are some companies that say you absolutely cannot store information for more than X number of years because of discoverability, et cetera. What are some of those policies that can then help you put a hard line in the sand on the age of your data? I'm kind of surprised that Salesforce let it get to 188%. That's a huge multiplier there. But
yeah, normally they're after you to increase your contract with them.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, tasks, campaign members, some of those that you don't see adding up in the background, but they do. I mean, the first question that we had earlier about many campaigns with many campaign members, that's your risk right there. So.
Yes, absolutely. And before you start deleting, you might want to archive that data just in case there is some reason 2 weeks from now someone says, where did this data go? And for whatever reason you need to restore it. So your weekly or monthly backups, and then export the data in a file format that you can easily upload quickly, so that you've got the IDs, the related ID, the campaign member ID, the campaign ID, so that you can reconstruct that if you need to. It's a fail-safe that if you never have to do it, great. But the minute you don't do it and you have to manually put all those pieces back together, you're going to spend so many hours, so many. So it's better to do it on the front end. And I just posted a link to a digital storage conversion calculator. Since Dale mentioned that every record is 2 kilobytes, and if you're trying to hit a certain target and you want to back into it, that conversion calculator has helped me. And Lizelle, let me unmute you. I should have done that from the beginning. I apologize. Does that answer your question, or is there any other thoughts or questions you have around data storage?
No, that about sums it up. Thank you so much. I just wanted to make sure that, I guess, once I delete it, I'm not affecting anything with our current org or messing up anything. But I believe you guys have answered that already.
Yeah, so you're only deleting data. You're not deleting architecture. So I would just make sure that no other applications or departments are relying on that data for any of their KPIs or historical information. If since this is marketing data, if your marketing programs department has to show year-over-year improvements or changes or things like that, and they don't have that data pulled off somewhere to compare to, I would just make sure that all of your audiences are aware that you're going to remove that data before you do it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. And I probably would also notify, so if your sales organization relies on that, or if they're told to go look at that data before they contact people, I would also notify them that you're going to do some cleanup and what it's going to affect and what they can expect and any workarounds they would need to know. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Corey's got his hand up. Corey, I'm going to unmute you. Go ahead.
I do. I posted a little higher up in the chat that I'm running into this sort of known problem with Lightning where roll-up summary fields are not getting updated when child records are created or updated. And so it's a known problem, and an error comes up and it says, hey, refresh the page, right? But it's highly annoying. So I wondered if folks here could think of a workaround whereby you could use some sort of automation to cause a page refresh. I'm not even sure if that's an available method, but I just wanted to throw it out to the crowd.
I think, unfortunately, because you're in Lightning, you're dealing with your local cache at that point. So that's almost like a browser command. It's not even a Salesforce command.
Yeah. There's no kind of method in the back where you could say, update these components or flush the cache or something like that.
I'm sure there is.
Does it act differently depending on which browser you're on, or does that matter?
No, it doesn't matter. It's very
Okay.
easy super easy to reproduce. It does it exactly the way that the bug is written. But it's just annoying for folks.
JavaScript, how to programmatically empty browser cache.
There you go.
Maybe.
But Corey, this is Jared. It works fine if you refresh the page, right?
Yeah, it does if you do a hard page refresh.
Yeah,
definitely works. So it's more looking for some automation that could be triggered, because you sort of know in advance this is going to happen. It's going to throw up an error and annoy people. So I was wondering if there's a way to just cause it to behave, some sort of back-end method or something.
I'm guessing switching to classic is not in the cards.
Probably not. Probably not.
Whose roll-up helper are you using?
Just using native. So
native.
It's a massive
Okay.
scale on it's on standard objects.
Okay.
It's a custom object related to a standard object.
Okay. I was hoping it was an app exchange partner.
Yeah, I mean, of course, DLRS or roll-up helper, those would do it, but then you're actually implementing a package and all of that stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we could bypass it. So that's just not use this feature and use roll-ups through another method like Dolores. So if there's kind of no way to bridge it until it's going to be fixed, I think going around it that way is probably a really good suggestion.
Sorry, I glossed over your post there, your question in the chat. My apologies.
Oh, no worries at all.
Okay. Well, hopefully we gave you something to at least investigate, right?
Yeah, I figure if it doesn't sound like something that can be easily done with automation, I'm just going to go around it with a different roll-up method.
Okay.
It's not Jared, use the native.
Hey, Jared, what's this page that you sent this question?
Yeah, I was just looking at it. I was just looking at different ways you could do that. It looks like there may be a method in Lightning that you can do like a force refresh.
Yeah.
Potentially, but I think you'd have to then just write like a custom, action, or component action to do the action and then execute that force refresh. I was just looking at some other ways too.
I like it. That sounds like what I'm looking for. Just a way to make Lightning behave before it wants to.
Jared shared it in the public chat there if you want to grab the link, Corey.
Yeah, and here's another one that looks like you can maybe do it through like the streaming API. I don't know if...
Oh, that looks promising. Hey.
Yeah, that one looks like a whole deal on how to do that. So, excellent. Yeah, those look like they could be promising.
Great. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that question. Brandon's got a question. Brandon, let me see if I can find you in the... Here we go. I'm going to unmute you.
Hello.
Hello there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about this question.
Yeah, so we're rolling out approvals, and I just don't want our reps to always have to submit to approval to see all of the different approval levels that are going to trigger when they hit submit. I want them to know kind of in advance before they do that. So I wrote a custom formula field right now that will display, the logic that I'm using on it. And I basically threw it into a Visualforce page that displays on Lightning, also with the status, because create a status field for it. But it just seemed like a lot of work and very clunky to me. Am I missing something? Should I be doing something else? Anybody have some best practices? I've Googled a lot of articles and stuff, but I just not found anything. And then also the approvals in Lightning, I basically put it on a related list tab in Lightning. Would love to maybe put it in a component on the right-hand side that only appears when it's been submitted for approval or something. But I would love to hear what other people have done or Or is this just kind of, people got to kind of hunt that stuff out, if that makes sense?
So with the approvals crickets, right. So that means that we're all thinking really hard. With the approvals, you want them to have some insight about the approval process based on whatever their scenario is. So is this not a standardized, okay, so it's not a standardized scenario for, immediately I was thinking, well, could you put that in paths under the guided selling section so that they know what's what?
Yeah, so for example, I'll give you, so the overall deal, if it's over 20%, their manager has to approve. If it's over 35%, the VP of sales has to approve. If it's over, a certain threshold. I'd love for them just to see like, oh, this is going to go to the CFO. So maybe I should go back and tweak my pricing before I submit it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. I don't know, Dale or Jared, do you have something up your sleeve for that one? Because the only thing I can come up with is just, paths, so that there's a visual chart always visible to them.
Well, and we already have path on the opportunity, so you can't put two paths on the same.
Okay, so this would sit on the opportunity.
And if you want, I can show my screen of what I built, and maybe that's good enough.
Sure.
Let me just make sure I'm picking the right thing here. Okay. All right, so on the details here, if I scroll down, I've got the details here. So I've got the approval status because it's a 96%. Can you see my screen, by the way?
Yes, thank you.
Yep. So because it's a 96% here, it'll say, op discount CEO approval required. The other thing I did is I basically hacked the page, made a Visualforce page with those fields on it, and sorry, loading. Then that drag over there. And then put this box up here so that it would essentially show the approval, and then I'll just make this like 100 high in pixels. First of all, am I doing something that's a bad idea? How about that?
No, I don't think that's a bad idea. I think that's a fantastic idea, and I love how you've used this, and now I get what it is that you're trying to do. So I think that
yeah.
Besides that, how do you want to see it displayed differently? That's pretty right up there. As a salesperson, I'm gonna see it. It's dynamic when I, do my pricing concessions or what have you. So I like what you did.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to know if it's crazy or not.
Yeah, that looks a lot better than what I was gonna say. If they wanted more like a, hey, here's where this is gonna go, like from an approval process standpoint, what I was gonna recommend is at least what I call like the poor man's way of doing it is just doing like rich text components that label out the process and then put filters around it so they show appropriately based upon the records information. But that obviously doesn't show like the current approval status of things. But to show the path of things, that could potentially work. But again, it's more poor man's way because it's just using rich text and filters. It's not necessarily a dynamic component.
Yeah, and what I'm trying to do is just show like if I change the price to like 100, so you guys can kind of see how that will change based off of the formula field. And I might have to refresh it because it's maybe cached. No, I'm kidding. Okay. Well, at least I feel like I'm on the right path. So.
Yeah, your last test is to ask your users, is this visible enough for you?
Well, and they don't have it today, so it's better because if they have to go to the approvals to take a look for it or wait for an email, etc.
I think that's perfect. You're making it so that they don't have to click, they don't have to hunt for it, they don't have to remember.
Yeah, because even I couldn't figure out, like, do I have to say, like, even in the step, the words that, like, you know, like this is obviously discount percentage, but if it was something else, but I want them to know what it is, you know, because we have certain line items too that we're going to be, you know, that they can't discount over a certain percentage. So I want to try to work that in. Okay. No, I feel good then. I feel like I did not, you know, I'm doing the right thing. I feel like for my people. So
awesome.
Thank you.
One for the win. Good job.
Yeah. All right. How do I stop sharing? Or you guys can probably do that, right?
Mouse over the green share, and it should allow you to unshare or stop sharing.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, Jared, can you go ahead and take back sharing controls?
Oh, here we go. I got it.
Please?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I think Jen has a question. Jen, I'm going to unmute you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So how do I'm calling a flow from a button or custom link. How do I redirect? It's creating a new record in a different object. How do I redirect to that new record from when I click on that button I want it to take at the end of the flow, take me to that new record that was created?
Ooh, that is relatively new functionality that doesn't require code. Like that just became a thing. I'm drawing a huge blank on it. Because there's always been a way to redirect to some other location, but there's never been to the new record. No, that's a year old. How to redirect to a new record, but this is 2012. But Jared, Jackie, am I crazy in thinking that that is now a thing in the declarative world, or is it still on the code side of things?
I have to defer to Jared because I'm not a flow person, but I'm enjoying these questions.
So can I save the ID of the newly created record into a variable that's input output and call it in my URL, return URL on the button? No.
So that entry URL assumes that it assumes what is in existence at the point in time that you engage the button or the link.
Yeah.
So technically, that record doesn't exist yet.
Okay.
Jared, am I crazy?
Did we lose him?
Okay, so as probably well known, I also work for Mark Ross, Brian Kwong's partner in crime. Normally I would ping him on this, and then I just looked at our internal Skype to see he's on the way to a client meeting, so he's either in the car or with a client, so I can't ask him either.
Okay.
My phone of friends are all dry.
Phone of friends, that's awesome. All right, well, maybe Jared will be back with us, and maybe we can parking lot this and get some kind of suggestion at some point, maybe, Jen.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe get back to you about that. That'd be good. All right, let's see here. What? Corey, you got another question?
No.
Oh, okay.
I just didn't lower my hand.
Okay, no problem.
From before.
No problem.
Hey, sorry guys, I was actually talking on mute, which was a great job by me. So
we're going to start calling out Bueller.
Right. Yeah. I feel like there's a way to do this, but on that flow. But let me.
I also texted Mark because his meeting doesn't start until 7 minutes, and maybe he's just sitting in the lobby somewhere checking his phone.
Here's my thought, right? Because I feel like I just try to do this is, where is the flow being performed at? Is it just like you're clicking a link to go into the flow? Or you've got it exposed in like a button?
Oh, Jen, you might be muted. Hold on.
Oh, I unmuted. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so the button is calling the flow, and then I have another flow where I have it in the back end where a process builder is calling it.
Okay.
So I know with the button I can do the return URL, but that's I have to put in the ID, the actual ID of the record, but I don't know what that is until it's created.
So Mark just texted back that there is an installed free plugin, which I'm trying to get the name of out of him, but he says in winter that will be core functionality. So it's not out there yet. It will be.
Okay.
Whoa. Will be. Okay.
And he did not, just to put some oomph on this, he did not say safe harbor. So that means it's going to happen. Safe harbor.
Awesome. Thank you for phoning a friend, Dale. That was fantastic.
Texting. I mean, I got to keep up with the kids. I'm texting a friend.
Texting a friend, yes. Okay. Oh, it looks like Erin's got a question. Erin, I'm going to unmute you. Go ahead.
Hi. We work out of 6 active sandboxes, and we refresh them on a basis. Every time a sandbox is refreshed, I have to go into custom settings and modify like 12 URLs. Now I can run this through the API. They're individual because they're custom, the custom settings. So I'm looking for a way to automate this, whether Apex or that it would just be automated, like after refresh, the custom settings, the URLs would just be updated. Is it possible?
That's not something I have encountered. Anyone else?
I was just looking. I think there is a.
You have a lot of steps after every refresh. Like I said, with 6 active sandboxes. So I'm just looking for ways to automate this and to cut the time.
So I just dropped something in the chat there. This one's more around users, around updating emails. This was done in 2017, so that's super long ago. There's also a reference link in here. Yeah, there's ways to do it through Apex, right? Because there's sandbox post copy methods that you can run. So I think it looks like it's just a matter of just setting up code to go find those areas that you need to update and running those updates using that sandbox post copy.
Thank you.
Is there an easy? I haven't done this, so I don't know. But is there a way, like, if you had just one sandbox that you never updated, and you kept those pieces and parts in a change set and pushed them to the other ones as you refresh them? Is that an option?
It would actually get convoluted between
Okay.
with the change sets and the sandbox. It would be great. I think my best option is literally a command line with a get, and then just use that. That's what I've been told. I've been doing a lot of research on it, but thank you.
All right.
Hey, Jen, if you're still on, Mark texted back that the name of the plugin is OpenSObject.
OpenSObject?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, to do a quick time check here, we actually have 2 minutes left on today's call. Do you think we can get another question in if anybody's got one?
Any predictions on the band?
No, and I'm surprised. It's very late in announcement, or it seems like it. Because how many days out till Dreamforce? What are we at?
38? Something.
Yeah. Maybe it's going to be a surprise to them. They don't know yet. Aaron, did you have another question, or did I just not lower your hand? Yep. Okay. All right. Well, with that, make sure that you mark your calendars if you're going to be at Dreamforce September 26th at 11:30 to come find us and introduce yourselves and get an updated brand new sticker for MVP office hours. And with that, thank you so much, everyone joining us today. Dale, Jared, do you have anything that you'd like to say before we send these people off into their weekend?
No, thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great weekend, and we hope to see you in San Francisco. Take care.